You're listening to Myers-Briggs Question Corner with Edythe Richards.
I've heard this question asked in many different forms over the years, and it's one that deserves its own podcast.
I'm an extrovert on the Myers-Briggs, but I hate networking events with a passion. Is this normal?
My quick answer, yes. It's perfectly normal. Let's make it clear. Both introverts and extroverts have strengths and weaknesses. There's no better or worse. Additionally, we all fall somewhere on the spectrum of extroversion and introversion, and we all use both in our daily lives. Still, stereotypes about both continue to perpetuate cyberspace, workplaces, and conversations. So let's set a few things straight. According to Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, who developed his theory of psychological types in the 1920s, each person seems to be energized more by either the external world or the internal world. In other words, though we all use both introversion and extroversion, we prefer one over the other. Contrary to popular belief, not all introverted types are shy, and not all extroverted types are outgoing. The assumption remains, though, that extroverted types, by their nature, enjoy being around and interacting with lots of people. This doesn't mean, however, that they like networking more than introverted types, or are better at it than introverted types. For many extroverted types, networking can be a nightmare. If the extrovert is also shy, or feels clumsy in social situations, or just uncomfortable around certain people at networking events, this can make him or her feel hesitant about doing the very things they love to do. Along similar lines, introverted types get a bad rep because the assumption is that they're shy, socially awkward, or just don't like talking to other people. This is different from the definition of introversion and extroversion, which again is about where one prefers to direct his or her energy, inwardly or externally. Regardless of our preference, we can all love or hate networking situations for any number of reasons. Let's take a look at a few.
I'm uncomfortable talking about why I got let go from my job. Or, I'm really depressed that I can't find a job. Or, I'm embarrassed that I'm looking for work.
A common reason people find themselves in this situation is that they feel they need to say the right thing. Especially at a networking event, you don't want to appear foolish or ask the wrong question. You're there to impress someone. Let's be clear here. Most people don't care that you're looking for work. Most likely, they are too. After all, that's why they're at the event. Now, if you're truly depressed and it shows, consider skipping the event. You don't want people's first impression of you to be a negative one. And if you go in being negative, you'll attract negativity. Be strategic about which events you attend, and be sure to manage your expectations. Don't expect that attending one event will land you your dream job. A successful job search requires patience and persistence. Instead of being miserable at networking events, accept who you are, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, and reframe your quote-unquote failures. The fact is that everyone has had to look for a job at one time or another. Most people have been let go from a position, and everyone has failed. Think about what you can do moving forward to come out ahead.
I don't know how to start a conversation. I just don't know what to say. I get tongue-tied, and then I end up looking incompetent.
This happens because we have negative beliefs about ourselves, like,
I'm a failure.
Or,
I'm a bumbling idiot.
Or we fear rejection.
They're not going to like me anyway. So why should I bother trying to impress someone?
This is perfectly normal for both introverted and extroverted types. Everyone on some level is going into the event feeling this way. Networking events are packed with intimidating strangers who we dread approaching. Recognizing that we're all nervous is the first step in easing your fear. A couple of things you can do in this situation. Consider bringing a friend or an acquaintance with you. Having someone else with you lessens the intimidation factor, and if that person is a natural connector, they can agree to make the introductions and overcome that initial awkwardness. Also, the more information you have about the event in advance, the better you'll be able to prepare yourself. For example, get a list of companies who'll be at the event. Research the type of work they're doing and positions they're trying to fill. Have a plan to connect with the appropriate attendees. A little knowledge goes a long way. If you know something about the people you're trying to connect with, it will be much easier to start a conversation. Remember, the purpose of a networking event is to meet new people.
But I don't like meeting new people. I feel awkward at these kind of social events. I hate talking to strangers. It's stressful getting all dressed up to go to an event where I have to perform or sell myself. Networking feels so fake. I feel like I have to force myself to be somebody that I'm not.
I can totally relate. Even though my own preference is for extroversion, I absolutely dread going to events where I have to have a fake smile plastered on my face and everyone has a rehearsed speech and shoves a business card in my face. Seriously, does anyone make a genuine connection at these types of events? So, for whatever reason, if I must attend an event like this, I try to find at least one stranger I can connect with on a personal level. When I go in with this mindset, I naturally become more optimistic, and that approach has never not worked for me. Another thing you could try is, quote-unquote, networking at fun, non-professional events, like meetup groups or volunteer events, where you have a shared interest with the other people. This approach to networking has actually worked on some level for everyone I know, and I think it's because people don't go into these situations thinking it's going to be a classic networking event, but more of a chance to meet people in a natural, organic way and talk about or do something that everyone there is interested in.
I'm better in writing than I am in person. Why isn't online networking a thing?
It is. It's called social media, especially LinkedIn. And bonus, if you can't attend an in-person event, social media is a great alternative. Though LinkedIn is the go-to online networking platform, many people have made great connections with Twitter chats, Facebook Live events, and other online tools. Now, no matter how good or bad you are at in-person networking, if you're actively job searching, LinkedIn is a must. In fact, I recommend that all professionals have an active, up-to-date LinkedIn profile. For more information on leveraging your skills and optimizing your LinkedIn profile, I invite you to check out my colleague Bob McIntosh's content on his website, thingscareerrelated.com. Any of these fears about networking or excuses we make about not going to networking events can happen to anyone, whether we're introverted or extroverted. To sum things up, here are 4 tips for you to implement at your next networking event. First, think quality over quantity. Don't put pressure on yourself to meet every single recruiter at an event or to stay for the entire event. You can go for 20 or 30 minutes and make a great connection just by talking to 1 or 2 people. 1 quality connection is much better than 20 superficial ones. Second, do your research and have some conversation starters ready. Doing your homework will help you come up with good questions to ask about the company or positions and show your interest in the organization's work. Having some conversation starters will help you feel less awkward. Sure, you can talk about sports or the weather.
I can't believe how hot it's been.
Or you can offer the other person a sincere compliment.
Hey, those are great shoes. They look really comfortable too.
Now, in all fairness, if their shoes look like some your Aunt Mildred would wear at a funeral, don't be insincere and tell her they're great shoes. An insincere compliment will do more harm than good. One more thought. Ask the other person for help.
Excuse me, do you know how to get to the metro from here? I'm hoping it's not too far of a walk.
You can also ask them if they've been to this venue before or how they heard about the event. Or you could just say hello and introduce yourself. Sometimes a handshake and a
"Hi, I'm David"
is the best way to go. Third, practice empathetic listening. To start, take a deep breath, relax, and smile. There is nothing more disarming and captivating than a smile. It's like you're saying,
"I'm uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable, we might as well be uncomfortable together and have fun doing so."
Resist the urge to look at your phone or across the room. Make eye contact with the other person. This will make them feel important. Now you can ask questions and start a conversation, trying to find common ground.
"Oh, you implemented ABC last year. Do you deal with insert problem too?"
Or,
"Does your company work with insert subject software as well?"
you can even talk about non-business related topics to break the ice.
"Traffic on the expressway was awful. Did you come this way as well?"
Or,
"There's a really long line at the bar, but the bartender makes a great martini. It's helping me get through the evening."
now try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Empathetic communication requires active listening. This means you need to give your full attention to the other person, mirror their body language and posture, and simply being in the moment and understanding what they're saying. It takes practice, but it's the first step in forming a truly genuine connection and making yourself memorable. Last, and this is a simple one, say the person's name.
"It's really nice to meet you, Edythe."
It sounds obvious, but it really is a big deal. If you're like me and you remember faces more than names, this strategy will help forge the person's name into your memory. And bonus, the other person will feel heard and flattered. Now, all of this requires practice if it doesn't come easy for you. But just because you don't like networking doesn't mean you need to be bad at it. Whether you're an introverted type or an extroverted type who hates networking, networking is just like any other skill. If you spend time learning how to do it, you'll sharpen that skill. At the end of the day, we need to understand and embrace the fact that some people, regardless of their Myers-Briggs types, just aren't natural networkers. Our personalities are much more complex than what the Myers-Briggs measures.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you'd like to hear more, or you'd like to submit a question yourself, then you can find us at www.atopcareer.com. Until next time. MBTI and Myers-Briggs are registered trademarks of the MBTI Trust.